on, guys? I wanted to make a video about my phase 1 fire gear that I have currently going on right now, and it's very selective on use of this gear, but I did want to actually make a video because there are some very cheap things that you can get off the auction house right now while we're in phase 1 before people start realizing the true value of them in phase 3. And again, this is some real 5-head shit, so we're going real in advance, so stick with me here, guys. So what you're going to want to start out with is for your helm, you're going to want to buy a green lens of Fiery Wrath. Now, you want the plus 36 fiery damage, but the reason it's so important to go right now, I bought this for 2 gold on the auction house. So many people are so unaware of the value of these. If they would just hold on to them till phase 3, they'd be getting so many mages waiting to try to get them. That's why I'm saying if you're a mage, the best time to buy them is literally right now. So moving on, we have Choker of Enlightenment, not of the Enlightenment. We have Choker of Enlightenment. Again, the only thing that's going to be beating this out is Choker of the Fire Lord. Moving on, we have Arcanist Mantle. We have the T1 shoulders. I have plus 5 shadow resistance on top of that, enchanted. But these are, I mean, they're okay. They're not great. In fact, they're kind of one of the worst pieces of tier 1 gear. It just really is a problem of having no real other replacement. I mean, I shouldn't have gotten rid of the Cantric arm piece. Well, either way, right now I have the Borean Mantle, so I don't really have a replacement. So these are a pretty good replacement because you do actually run out of mana really, pretty frequently, and I use this gear a lot for Maradon, so that mana regeneration is very, very effective. Moving on, another thing to keep your eye out for on the auction house, the Mage Flame Cloak. Now, the Mage Flame Cloak has a base 10 fire resistance. I put shadow resistance on top of that, and it has an increase of 21 fire damage. Now, that is actually better than my Saffron Drape. Now, I will sometimes switch between the two, just depending on the situation. But again, the Saffron Drape that drops off of Onyxia does not even have as much spell damage increase as the fire damage. And so there is actually a contention on here because there is 17 intellect, so there is a definite use for it as opposed to just that. So the Saffron Drape is still really good for this situation, so I wouldn't completely roll it out. I would just think that for people on the auction house right now, this is a great piece item that you might be able to get for a great price right now, not necessarily later on in different phases. And we have Robe of the Archmage. Obviously, that's pretty much my best all around, so that's going to stick around, not to mention that it has the additive mana pot functionality. Now, moving down, we have the Magistrate Bindings. These are just a little bit slightly more intellect. What I will be going for in Dire Maul is there's bindings that are better than this. They have spell power on them, so that is going to be a change coming to this very shortly, so hopefully I'll be live streaming that soon. If we move down, we have the Investor's Focal Sword, which is base stat just plus 1 critical spell damage, but I've enchanted that with plus 30 spell damage, so that makes it very, very good. We have the Spirit of Aquamentus, which is an increase of 20 spell damage, and then we have the Bone Creeper Stylus, which is an increase of magical spells by 11. Moving up to arms or gloves, we have the Silkweb gloves, which for the most part we're using them just for the intellect, stamina, and the restorative factor is kind of there, but it's really not noticeable unless you stack it on. So just between those two pieces we have 7. I do have my Bangkok Sash, which is typically a very good, we have the chance to hit on that, but just because of the fiery spec that I'm in, the 29 fiery spell damage is actually very, very good here. Now, moving on, one of the best pieces I have is the Netherwind Pants. I just actually got this Tuesday. Tier 2 legs. Now, it's got so much on top of it. 30 spell damage, 1% spell crit, arcane resistance, fire resistance. This is fucking unbelievable. Great piece all around. Now, moving down, we have our Fire Striders. Now, on this, as opposed to my Necropile boots, which I have for PvP, I have minor speed increase on these. So if I do need to go a little bit faster, I have these. These are my off-spec minor speed increase boots. Now, these are different from what I normally have. I believe I have, yes, the Regal boots of Frozen Wrath, which are my mithril spurs. These are my off-spec, just to go faster on my mount. And then I actually have different boots as well. I have the Omnicaster's boots for Frost. So moving down to my fingers, I have the Band of Rumination, which is obviously the spell crit and restorative mana. On top of that, we had 7 across those 2 pieces. So that brings it up to 12 mana every 5 seconds total across all of my pieces. And then we have the Flaming Band of the Eagle, which is intellect, stamina, and then an increase of 24 fire spell damage. Now, the other thing that we use most typically for Frost is the Songstone of the Iron Forge. So just use this as a comparison. The best in slot ring we have for Frost is only increase of 18 spell damage, and we're using a fire spell damage increase of 24. So this ring is really, really good. It's a great pickup. You should try to need on this if you're not in a group with a Warlock, because they might get pissed. Then we have the Briarwood Reed. Everyone knows about that. Jeb runs 29 spell damage. And then I go to the Eye of the Beast, which is the increase spell crit by 2%, which is massive. All right, boys. So I hope you enjoyed. Okay, so let me give a full rundown. 331 fire spell damage, 10.5% spell crit, and we got 2,400 health. All right, boys. I hope you enjoyed, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.